Good weekend, everyone. I hope you're all doing incredible and having an amazing weekend so far. Hey there, John Henry here, SSFTG. Welcome to the video. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome, my friend. I hope to earn your like and subscription today. Welcome to the Weekend Upland Report, where we take a bit of time to discuss what's going on in the Upland metaverse from more of an analytical perspective. How is the UPX economy doing? Or how about each market sector and neighborhood along the way? A lot of different things that we like to take a look at and a lot of important factors that a lot of folks overlook when it comes to really the difference between success and failure. These are the things that really make the big difference. If you want to join all of us in the Upland metaverse, make sure to swing over to discover.upland.me/SSFTG or click the promo link down in the description. I'll make sure to get that down in there for you to make it a little bit easier. And that will get you started in the Upland metaverse with 6,000 starting UPX just to get going. Plus, if you decide to drop some cash to get some UPX, especially with Rio right around the corner, you want to sink your teeth into Rio, you get a monster 50% bonus to your first UPX purchase because you use that promo link. So make sure that you do not miss out on that. It does have a maximum bonus of 50,000 UPX, but that is definitely more than enough to get you started in Rio for sure. And of course, you know what time it is. We got to get our little bit of shill in there, but it's for a good cause, right? Don't forget, make sure to check out the merch store over at ssftg.live/merch. Remember, 50% of all of the profits go towards our chosen autism charity of the month, with July focusing on the National Autism Association. Make sure to check out everything that we've got available. We've got awesome Mahoney MV Motorsports shirts that go in to support MV Motors. We also have Wood Hood shirts. We've got wicked designs, got some dog bandanas, all kinds of epic stuff, so make sure to swing over there and check it out. Now, obviously, I know the first news announcement that we were going to talk about, at least date-wise, is taking a look at, well, of course, Rio, but that's going to be a big topic, so we'll get to that in a second. Let's take a look at the announcement that came out on July 22nd, because this is really, really cool. If you haven't read through this, make sure to. It's not very long, but effectively, Upland launched OMA 3, or OMA 3, with Web3 Leaders Consortium, and why this is so cool is because this is creating an interoperability with all of these different blockchains. So as an example, Sandbox and Upland may be able to port different NFTs between one another now, or maybe not exactly right now, but in the near future, right? So it's creating this really nice ability to link between all of these areas, or what they're saying, a metaverse without restraining walls. And that is, well, kind of the whole point of the metaverse in general, right? Decentralization and having the ability to have everybody participate regardless of where they're participating from. This is an incredible step forward in that. So this is really, really cool to see. I'm very excited to see how the future looks for this because, man, can you imagine having all of these different blockchains with interoperability coming into Upland? That's a big, big deal. And then, of course, we can jump over into the elephant in the room, the Rio launch, right? Now, Rio, as far as the last time I checked, we do not have the zone lines in the game, right? I don't know where the areas are. I don't know where the neighborhoods are. I know, generally speaking, like if you do a neighborhood search on Google, you can find the areas, but I don't know what's going to be available in Upland. Man, I tell you, if there's one feedback thing that I would love to see implemented is at least adding these a few days early instead of a few hours early. From a content creator's perspective, it's really, really tough to talk about these new areas if I have no idea what's going to be launching. Man, I really wish those had come out a little bit sooner, but I digress. As far as Rio is concerned, there are a lot of big zones of interest. I haven't been able to do the speculation guide video because I don't have the zones yet. I'm waiting for the zones to drop to do the video. Hopefully, later today we'll be able to get that. Now, there were a few updates to the Rio launch, so I want to cover those and really talk about one that I think is really, really awesome. And also kind of an area that might be kind of weirdly high demand. We'll see. This is gonna be an interesting one because I've never seen anything like this. It's like a newbie island, if you will. But we'll get to that in a second. First off, going through the stress test stuff. First, when we're going through the stress test is happening on July 25th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So at 9 a.m., the stress test is going to begin by unlocking properties in the Centro neighborhood. We already knew that was coming. Players are going to be encouraged to mint as many properties as possible during the test to create a high volume activity. So they're really pushing on people like, hey, mint everything. Now, the more you mint, the better your chances of winning are. Not only are they pushing on it, because at 9:05, Treasures are going to begin to appear on minted properties throughout the neighborhood. So the more properties that are minted, the more treasure chests that are going to spawn, and treasures are going to spawn every 5 minutes. Most treasures are going to grant UPIX rewards to cover send fees, and each treasure has a chance to contain 10,000 UPIX. So, man, they're really, really hammering not only on Rio as the first international launch, but really minting everything. At 9:10, that's when they're going to start dropping all of the sends in Rio, and just as a note, these are only going to spawn in the test neighborhood. At 9:30, the last wave of treasures will spawn, and then the stress test will end at 9:45. Now, this one's really cool because there's a few things that are going on with it. One of the first things is going to be that 5 lucky participants are going to win 0.25 Spark. Now, 0.25 Spark, I mean, actually, I think there's a 0.25 Spark still available in the store. 0.1 actually. So do the math, right? They're giving away 5 0.25 sparks. 1 spark, we already know the value of it, but you can see here, $55 for 0.1. So, I mean, that's not a small reward by any means, and they're doing it 5 times. That's awesome. Now, when they're doing the release, this is what is a little bit different here, because there are going to be starter neighborhoods. If you've done any gaming or played any games at all, a lot of places have newbie islands where you start out training grounds kind of stuff. This is kind of a similar mentality. I mean, there's not like monsters and stuff to fight here. But one of the things that they're doing is they're designating the Cidade de Deus. Let's try that one. Cidade de Deus. Something like that. I know Peruvian Spanish, so it's probably not the right pronunciation considering that it's Portuguese, but whatever. The neighborhood in Rio is going to be a starter neighborhood, and that is entirely made up of affordable FSA properties and contains no collection properties other than standard collections, of course, right? This neighborhood and others like it are intended to serve as a landing place for new players to start their Upland journey and mint their first property. So it's like this little zone away from everything else that's all FSA properties. It's really cool because the only way that somebody like me is going to be able to purchase a property in here is on the secondary market. That's it. There is no other way to get into that neighborhood. Now, there aren't going to be any collections or anything like that, but it's really cool and kind of like a collector's piece almost, like the first of its kind. Now, one of the important factors to note here is right here, because starter neighborhoods, and they're talking the Cidade de Deus, I'm just determined to get it in there, and the future neighborhoods if necessary, of course, and their properties are in addition to the originally planned Rio City release. So these are like extras, therefore they do not contribute to the overall FSA allocation of Rio. These are like bonus ones, so totally awesome. First of all, that's really, really cool because we're creating these landing pads for new players to come in and land, and hopefully with in-game chat and everything, when that becomes more of a thing, they'll be able to communicate amongst each other and have little communities within these new neighborhoods. Really kind of cool to think about the future of those areas. There are also going to be property size limits. The property size limits for Rio, anything larger than 5,000 UP2 or smaller than 7 UP2 are going to be locked and not available for minting when Rio opens. We are exploring ways to utilize these properties and will provide updates as they become available. I'm guessing, my assumption would be that these are probably too small to build anything on, so maybe they're going to use them for billboards later on. I don't know. I thought they would give us the opportunity to make our own. I tell you, when they say that some things don't change, she may have gotten bigger, but she is still a very, very big distraction. We've got a thunderstorm going on right now, so she's a bit nervous, and even though she's gotten twice as big as last time, she still needs to try to fit in my lap. And then we can finally jump on over into the marketplace analytics. There's not really a whole lot else to talk about with Rio because we don't have the grid lines or the zone lines in yet. I'm really hoping that we get a bit more info about that going forward. But really, I mean, one of the things while I've been going through and taking some notes, to me, I think Centro is going to be a huge hub. I mean, obviously that's going to be the first launch area, but this is the first international launch. This is like Genesis City, and that's downtown of the Genesis City. So Centro in and of itself, I mean, it's gotta be a limited collection, if not an exclusive collection. Whether or not I'm actually going to have the ability to do a collection speculation video, I'm really hoping that they get those grid lines soon and then we can. But Centro is going to be a big one regardless. There was also a clarifying note on collections. There are going to be 16 to 22 collections in Rio, just like they talked about before. All of these collections will be revealed 1 week after the city opens in the usual collection reveal. But remember, the city release is only going to be partial. Not all of Rio, just like Vegas, is going to be unlocked at once, right? They're not all going to be available at the same time. So some of these collections may be in the initial city release, but some of them may be in future expansions. That's really, really interesting because remember, after the collections are released, all of the prices are adjusted. So these are going to be some possible monster earners that we can look at in the future that will be unminted, and they might even be in ultra rare or rare collections that are just waiting to be hit. I mean, this is going to create a really, really interesting kind of high tension zones when we have these new expansions. It's going to be really fun. So with Rio and the fact that we don't have the grid lines yet, I'm still waiting for those to get the collection speculation guide in. Although, I mean, let's be real. If that's a really bad one. Oh man, I'm going to do that so many times. I can already hear it. Centro, the downtown area, if that's not a limited or an exclusive collection, it would blow my mind. I mean, that's where everything happens. I'll try to get a speculation guide out as soon as I get the grid lines in the game. Last time I checked, let me double check again. I don't believe they're in. Let me try turning it off and back on again. Nope, that didn't work either. All right, so I'm still waiting for the grid lines to get those in, but when I get them, then I'll be able to get that guide in. So looking at the marketplace analytics, we do have a little bit of a dip. It's gone down to 1.635, and the last time around is in the 1.7s, and we can see there's a pretty hefty dive off of on both ends with swaps, with everything. I mean, really, it's pretty obvious as to why that happened, right? We had the announcement of Rio, and not only the announcement, but a definitive date. And now that people know when it's coming, they have a deadline, and they've got to work towards that deadline, and it's not very far away. So a lot of people are dumping properties. I've seen so many undermint in Upix properties going across the line. It's crazy. People are trying to get super, super liquid for this Rio launch. As far as unminted versus minted properties, last time around we were at a little over 500,000. We were at 500,214. This time around we have 493,368. That's only a difference of 1.368%, but that makes sense. Nobody's minting new properties with Rio right around the corner. Why would they, right? Everybody's waiting for Rio. Now, remember, Rio is going to be adding 50,000 properties just in its launch, not inclusive of the additional FSA properties in the Cidade de Deus. I'm bound to get it in there. So there's going to be a little bit of an extra chunk of properties that get added to the list here, and then it'll put us right at about 550,000 again. And now we can jump into the zone by zone, neighborhood by neighborhood area here. Looking at Bakersfield, first up on the alphabetical list. Last time around it was at $5.69, now at $5.40. That's down 5.1%. On the Upix side, going from $8,698 down to $77.40, that's down 11.01%. The arbitrage between them still sitting at $2,340. Again, a lot of these are going to be a pretty slippery slope as people get liquid for Rio, big time. Lots and lots of deals hitting the market, but there are still some really, really good movers on here as well. I mean, look at Pacheco Road. That's up 66.6%, 18% in the Oaks as well on the USD side. On the Upix floor, we have a 10% increase in Seven Oaks. So things are doing okay. It's not all doom and gloom as everybody's selling everything off, but I tell you what, if you're looking to get into the market, right, if you're looking to find a cheap way in while everybody's dumpstering and you don't maybe necessarily care too much about Rio, or you don't want to be bothered with the stress of it, this is when it's a buyer's market. Everybody is shelling their stuff off at a discount. If you're looking to pad your back account, holy moly, this is the way to do it. On the Bronx side of things, doing a little bit better, especially on the floor side. I mean, going from $6.90 to $8.70, that's an increase of 26.09%. The Upix floor didn't really follow along with that, though, going from $12,000 down to $11,320, dropping 5.67%. Arbitrage between the two still sitting at $2,620, and again, there are a few collections that are still doing pretty good. Mott Haven up 38.8% on the USD side, and Mott Haven also up 11% on the Upix side. So, I mean, there, again, are some pretty good movers within. Moving just a little bit further south here in the Brooklyn side of things, we've got the floor going from $539 to $539 unchanged, 0% there. The UPX floor, $82.99 down to $7,100, down 14.45%. Arbitrage closing in a little bit more there to $1,710, so getting a bit tighter. On the USD collection side, Crown Heights up 38.8%. And on the UPX side of things, we have a nice 38 and 42% increase in Coney Island and Cobble Hill. Looking pretty good, except when you climb up the ladder into Dumbo, that's down 28%, getting beat up a little bit on that end. And it's that time again, it's time to jump over to Chicago. The overall movement is not maybe so good. They might need some singing to boost them up a little bit here. Chicago's taking a little bit of a hit. The floor is going from $3.99 to $3.82. Chicago's in the $3 range now. Oh, that's not so great. UPX floor going from $6,300 down to $5,600, dropping 11.11%. Arbitrage between the two, $1,780. Overall, I mean, it's pretty heavy over here in Chicago. It's getting beat up. There are a few shining lights, up 46% over in Ukrainian Village. We also have a 55% increase in Chicago Riverwalk on the USD side. On the UPX side, up 44% in Chinatown and 185% in Chicago Riverwalk, following right alongside. Cleveland bringing us some ominous numbers on the UPX side of things, but the USD floor going from $4.99 to $5, that's up 0.2%. Marginal, it's up a penny, not a big deal there. The UPX floor going from $79.99 down to $66.66, and that's down 16.66% with an arbitrage of $1,666. Ooh boy, we might want to stay away from Cleveland for a little bit, let this bad boy cool off. It's hot. The overall side of the USD floor is getting obliterated. There's the only side that's doing well, actually, is the floor, and that's really it. The UPX side has a 12% increase in Ohio City, but that's really about it there. Cleveland is not looking pretty right now. Over in the Detroit side of things, the USD floor is going to be $3 for basically ever, so that's unchanged. The UPX floor, $3,700 down to $3,567, decreasing 3.59%. Detroit arguably has one of the best arbitrage values in the entire game if you want to keep a tight spread at 567. That's it. Really, really close. If we're looking at the overall collection side of things, everything is kind of doing in Detroit. Nothing getting smashed, right? We're not seeing any 50% droppers or anything like that on the USD floor or the UPX floor. But everything is still kind of waning a little bit. Again, Rio, we know the reason. But, all things considered, we have a 10% increase in Grand Boulevard on the USD side of things and a 13% increase in Midtown on the UPX floor. Also, 12% in Brightmoor. So, there are some shining lights there with Brightmoor. Man, there's so many bad puns today. Fresno is getting beat up a little bit here. The floor of $5.50 last time, going to $5, down 9.09%. The UPX floor, $79.99 down to $7,200, down 9.99%. Arbitrage, though, still not bad, $2,200 between all of them. The only positive collection in the USD side, although is up 63%, so pretty positive. If they're going to do it good, right? Blackstone Ave is rocking it, and that is also the only positive collection on the UPX side, but not nearly as good, only 1.26%. Everything else pulling back a little bit here and seeing some pretty hefty shelling. Kansas City, speaking of bright shining lights, thanks Brightmoor, we've got Kansas City doing very well. The USD floor going from $526 to $589, that's up 11.98%. And the UPX floor on $75.55 going up to $79.89, up 5.74%. These previous markets that everybody was dumping last week are doing incredibly well this week. What a rebound. Looking at the collection side of things as well, I mean, wow, 39% in the Main Street Limited collection, up 30% in the exclusive Foxtown, doing really, really well on the USD floor. The UPX floor, not so much. Whoops, I missed a couple zeros there. There we go. The UPX floor not doing so well. The worst one, Foxtown East, down 29.13%. All the others relatively flat. Not much else going on there. Las Vegas next up on the list, the USD floor $525 to $550, that's up 4.76%. The UPX floor, though, sliding a bit, $94.99 down to $8,000. That is a slip slide of 15.78%, but the arbitrage still solid, $2,500. Not really a whole lot of shining lights here on the collection side of things. Everything up or down about 5%, some down upwards of 18 to 20%, but there are a few in there that'll still work. Vegas is the most recent launch, so if there is going to be one that's going to get pushed on a little bit more, it's probably going to be Vegas. And considering that there were a lot of very large properties in potential collection areas that people were speculating. Come to find out, those weren't in collections. Those are the ones that you're going to see firing off at like 60% discounts. Huge discounts on these ones while they dump them, basically, to get liquid for Rio again. Over in Los Angeles, we've got the floor on the USD side going from $4.99 to $4.99 unchanged, with the UPX floor at $7,300 to $6,384, dropping 12.55%. Arbitrage between the two, 1,394, so still not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. One super obvious thing that we can see here from the collection side of things is that the USD collections are doing totally fine. The UPX side of collections are not doing totally fine. The only one that's actually doing pretty well, I mean, we've got Echo Park, which is up 11.5% on the UPX floor, but the Gregorius Angelino is up 24, almost 25%. That's about it, right? Everything else is getting kind of beat up. The USD floor, however, is doing just fine. I mean, sure, we have a 45% decrease in Pacific Palisades, but a lot of those are those really quick fire sales, and then they're gone, and the floor jumps right back up again. So really what we're seeing here and what this is telling us is that people are getting UPX liquid. They're totally fine buying things in USD, and I've noticed that personally. I've been seeing a lot less deals in USD, and I love those. Those are some of my favorites, as you know. So people are definitely buying on the USD side, likely to sell on the UPX side because they're getting liquid UPX for the Rio launch, and we can see it reflected perfectly here. Manhattan is next, and whoa, man, it is not pretty over here. This thing is getting wailed on. The USD floor going from $69 to $59. First of all, like what? $59 for Manhattan properties. Wow. So these are coming down in price big time. Now, to be fair, if you look at the actual UP2 of the properties that are for sale, they're incredibly tiny properties. So the markup is drastic, which is probably why it's only at $59. Once those go away, it'll likely jump right back up again, just being realistic. But even the UPX floor, we can see here people getting liquid. 109,900 last week to 91,900, and we saw even a few in the 80s and 90s, the upper 80s to lower 80s. So still, I mean, the arbitrage between them, 32,900. It's really hard to get a better arbitrage than in Manhattan, especially when they're pushing $59 properties. Are you kidding me? Now, that said, on the collection side of things, the USD floor is not doing so well here. We do have a couple nice ones, like Upper East Side's up 16.5%, 12.5% up in Soho. But, I mean, really, the UPX side of things, on the lower end is getting dumped. The higher end is getting bought back up. It's kind of interesting. So we can see that people are sort of playing the upper end and going, well, wait a minute. We know that places like Wall Street and places like Last Act, those are going to maintain their value. So they're parking a lot of capital in those areas while they're dumping the lower ones. And we're seeing the floor really slip out from under Manhattan right now because of it. In Nashville, we've got the USD floor slipping from $5.50 to $4.60, down 16.36%. The UPX floor dropping as well, 84.84 down to 76.77. That's down 9.51%. The arbitrage, though, is kicking up a little bit to 3,077, one of the first ones over 3,000 in a while here, aside from, like, Manhattan, obviously. Looking at the collection side of things, the USD floor is meh, okay, mostly slipping and sliding there. Even the exclusive collections like Fatherland dropping almost 50% there. Again, a lot of these are quick USD sales to get liquid, and then they jump right back up again. Next week, these will probably all be inflated. Keep that in mind. That said, all the capital next week is also going to be in Rio. The UPX side of things up 7.5% as well in downtown. We're seeing a little bit of capitulation here in Nashville, but for the most part, dropping like everywhere else. New Orleans is doing very well on the USD side of things. $4.99 up to $6. That is up 20.24%. Very, very good there. The UPX side, maybe not so much. $94.50 down to $84.99, down 10.06%. Looking at the collection side, though, that's where things start drying up here again. New Orleans is not left alone. Just like the others, we're seeing this side slide down to nothing over 10% on the USD side of things. And the only thing over 10% on the UPX side is French Quarter, which historically has always done pretty well. Oakland is seeing a little bit of a dry spell, kind of flattening out here as well. $6.97 down to $6.49, down 6.89%. The UPX floor going from $9,499 to $8,700, down 8.41%, with the arbitrage sitting at $2,210, very similar to the rest of them. If we're looking at the collection side of things, though, the USD's got some either they're really big jumps, or nothing's happening, right? Like we've got West End, which is up 30%. We've got Temsical, which is up 55%. And we also have Gibbons Drive, which is up 51%. Everything else is flat to possibly down. Like, there's nothing else. On the upper side of things, kind of flat a little bit there as well on the upper end, telling us once again that people are parking their cash in the higher value areas if they're looking to store value. But they still want to get a little bit of liquid UPIX, and if they're looking to do it, it's usually on the lower end of collections. Next up on the list, we head on over into Queens. The floor from $3.69 unchanged to $3.69. The UPIX floor at $56.95 down to $51.49, dropping 9.59% with an arbitrage of $1,459. Now, looking between some of the collections, we've got a ripper in Rego Park up 59%, really doing well there. Also 27% in Douglaston, so really nice movements there. Otherwise, kind of flat. There's nothing really falling apart per se, but it's not really going up too much either. And the ones that are doing pretty good. On the UPIX side of things, there's not really a whole lot of action, although we do have a 17% increase in Douglaston there too. Otherwise, it's kind of quiet and calm. Rutherford next up on the list. The floor last week going from $42 to $40, down 4.76%, and the UPIX floor $65,000 down to $56,999. That's down 12.31%. Rutherford is also one of the best arbitrage markets at $16,999. Great value there. In terms of the collections, there are no ups. They are all down. The largest down is in Carmita Ave, down 16.83% on the UPIX side of things. Otherwise, relatively calm and quiet. Rutherford, very similar to Santa Clara, is one of those markets that just always kind of does well, and if it's not doing well, it's usually only momentarily, and then it stabilizes once again. Swinging on over back to the West Coast in San Francisco, we've got the floor going from $16 to $17, increasing 6.25%, with the UPIX floor going from $25,950 to $27,000. That's an increase of 4.05%. San Francisco, another good arbitrage market, one of the better ones, similar to Santa Clara and San Fran and Manhattan and Rutherford. San Francisco comes in at $10,000 on the arbitrage value. As far as the collections are concerned, we've got some good, the only ones that are doing good are doing really well. We've got a 36% increase in Russian Hill and a 50% increase in Market Street on the USD side. On the UPIX side, not really a whole lot going on. We've got an 8% increase in Russian Hill there as well, but otherwise everything is kind of down to flat. Over in Santa Clara, speaking of good arbitrage markets, we might as well just swing on over to the next one. Santa Clara going from $17.99 to $20, and the USD floor is doing really, really well on Santa Clara. The UPIX floor from $30,499 to $31,000, increasing there 1.64%. Arbitrage, again, like we talked about, really good market for it, sitting at $11,000. The USD floor is doing amazing. This is something that we've talked about before. Santa Clara is, although it is a tier 2 treasure hunting city, one of the best treasure hunting cities that you can get your hands on because it's so small, it's so condensed, and being so condensed but still tier 2 allows you to really, really statistically put this in your favor if you can get a bunch of properties here. So it's no wonder that the USD side is going up, and even the UPIX floor really isn't sliding that much. Nobody wants to get rid of their Santa Clara properties, and this is just another one of those examples here. But the USD floor definitely doing well. And then, of course, last but not least, we've got to take a look at Staten Island from $589 to $589, unchanged on the USD floor, $7,800 to $7,900, going up 1.28% on the UPIX floor. As far as the arbitrage is concerned, pretty good there, still kind of average, sitting at a little over 2000 to 2010. But here again, the USD floor is rocking and rolling. Some of these up as much as 49%. Some of these also down over 30%. Tottenville down 36%. Historic Richmond Town down 31%. But the UPIX side of things, there's nothing. We've got the floor, that's up 1.28%, but everything else is down. So here again, people are very willing to buy in USD, but not so much willing to buy in UPIX because they're waiting for Rio. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week in review in the Upland metaverse, taking a look at what's going on just ahead of the Rio launch. Rio's right around the corner, and we're definitely feeling that pressure on the floor right now. Likely, next week, not only are we going to have the inclusion of Rio in our stats, but we're also going to likely start seeing a rebound in some of the other markets as people profit from the Rio launch. Super excited for the Rio launch. I'm very curious to see how it all goes. What is your approach to Rio? Are there any specific areas areas that you're targeting. I know we don't have the grid lines or anything to work with as far as collection speculations, but there are some pretty obvious ones like Copacabana. I mean, how can you miss Copacabana, right? Centro and where they do the Carnival. I mean, these are some pretty obvious places that people are going to target, but are there any under the radar that maybe you've been keeping an eye on? Drop them in the comments. And if you have any questions, of course, drop those down there too. You know I always love hearing from you all. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Have a great time in the Rio release, and we will see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.